What is going on YouTube? This is Acid Roots. So I'm going to review a 2008 project by Skull Gang and Juelz Santana. Basically this project is called Takeover the New Movement. To move with, and it came out in the late summer of 2008. So look after it in particular. This was a good concept here just because Juelz Santana was kind of persnickety about dropping albums. Like, I remember really wanting, like, his album is going to be called, like, Born to Lose, Built to Win, as far as those pitches were going to have. It was supposed to come out in 2007, then 2009, and it just kept getting delayed repeatedly. But Juelz Santana later said that it was kind of, it's not to blame Cameron like that, but it was kind of the concept that Cameron and, like, the Dipset label kind of held him back in, like, his prime as far as those pitches going to happen. It's not really, like, I want to say that those interviews are probably around as far as the pitches, the exact reasons why Juelz Santana did not drop more albums, but Juelz Santana basically got screwed over with trying to drop more music as far as those pitches going to happen after his What the Game's Been Missing from 2005, which is still to this day his most recent album. A look after this is a good interim type project, and the actual truth about it was Juelz Santana had a number of projects. I've been discovering a lot of these. There's some ones I do want to get to, like some projects with Lil Wayne and some of those type ones. Originally he was going to drop an official project called I Can't Feel My Face. I'm sure enough folks who probably remember the mixtape lore of like the mid-late 2000s, 2006, 2007 era Lil Wayne and Juelz Santana probably remember hearing a number of times about that particular project. But there were some projects that officially dropped with their collaboration, so it's just a good pitch within that. I'm going to get to some of those, some more type fairs I do want to review, like Juelz Santana's What the Game's Been Missing from 2005. Really remember that album. That is a classic, I would definitely have to say. I don't remember From Me to You as much from 2003, but there's a ton of these. So I want to get to a project that I do remember from way back in 2008. I at least remember the song Aggie and maybe like a couple other songs. I want to say there was like a song, I remember like a song with Jim Jones on there, some of those type pitches, but I do briefly have like mild memories of this particular mixtape from 2008, so I wanted to get towards it again. But yeah, this is a pretty excellent type one here, and it's bulkier than I originally thought. I thought that it was only like 13 or 14 songs, but it's actually like 25 minus like 3 skits, so it's still approximately 22 songs as far as those pitches going to happen. I look after it. It's a pretty excellent type fare here to kind of get this. Juelz Santana is on a lot of these. The Skull Gang, I don't know consecutively the full boundness of some of these members' names as far as those pitches going to happen, but I look after it like I'm not really as full-blown sure how much further the Skull Gang was really promoted as far as that pitch going to happen. I remember waiting. I kind of thought that I actually want to say I think Skull Gang dropped an album as far as that particular kind of went. I want to say the Skull Gang dropped an album like 2009 or something, which probably had Juelz Santana on there a whole bunch, I'd have to say, which is a good concept. It's kind of like a pseudo album to kind of get for like the concept for folks saying that he hadn't been around since 2005. I look after I am going to get to that project. I'll go ahead and take a look at that real quick. Yeah, Skull Gang dropped an album in 2009. So, this being able to say and stuff, but this was a pretty hungry type mixtape here, and the thing about Juelz Santana is just the fact that he's very underappreciated as like a lyricist. I kind of look after it. I think nowadays, like folks that are probably about the concept of folks that are probably born past like 97, 96, somewhere in there, I'd have to say just like probably past like the mid-90s, probably don't as full-blown know about Juelz Santana, because he really kind of was persnickety, like I was saying, about dropping projects, and he just didn't have any albums past 2005. He has mixtapes, but this is kind of the commotion as to how eccentric that folks from nowadays are just more not as far back type times would remember like some of the products that he put in. He has a lot of these. This is kind of a secret one here just to be able to say. He's kind of just like Cameron, Jim Jones, some of these type folks from Dipset. He did do a lot of these moments just to be able to say some of this. Skull Gang album definitely feels like a treat here, but this mixtape is just a good primer for that, and it is kind of like a stopgap for Juelz Santana for folks that just were wondering where the hell he went as far as this pitch going to happen. But yeah, basically, not sure if there's any singles on here, but at least Lil Wayne and Jim Jones are on here for some features, which is a pretty excellent type fare. Juelz Santana, like I was saying, is on a number of these songs. He's not on every last one, but he's on most of these, just within a pitch, and he is a pretty shredding lyricist. He's like a mini kind of alternative lyricist to Lil Wayne, some of those type folks that I say he can keep up with Lil Wayne, and he's a pretty good sparring partner for him as far as those pitches going to happen. But yeah, so the addition of this mixtape that I downloaded has 25 songs on here, which includes 4 extra songs. It's supposedly, Rate Your Music says that there's only 21, but there's 4 extra songs on here. Some of these ones would be basically 100 Bars, Just Don't Give a Fuck, Secret, and Holla as far as those pitches going to happen. Now the unfortunate thing is is just the fact that out of these bonus songs that are kind of on this project, I don't actually recommend that many, and if I were to score this project based upon the bonus songs on top of that, it would get like a slider score. Just go ahead and say I wound up recommending there's 21 songs on the standard edition, and minus the 3 skits, that narrows it down to 18. And out of the 18 songs that are on the standard edition, I wound up recommending 14. So it's a pretty excellent type fare just to be able to say that. So yeah, the standard edition of this mixtape is going to get a 9 out of 10. I just say it's just pretty excellent. To say the standard edition of this mixtape is going to get a 9.25 out of 10. It's pretty excellent type concept for that. But the unfortunate thing is the deluxe, or the bonus edition with the 4 extra songs, out of those 4 songs, I really only wound up recommending one, which is just the song Secret. Secret is definitely a nice gem. It's a good repolish of like Nothing But a G Thing by Snoop Dogg, just an electro kind of club hop of that particular song, just a retake of that particular one. But the other 3 songs, 100 Bars, Holla, and Just Don't Give a Fuck, just don't stack up nearly as well. So I'd say, so out of 22 songs on the super edition of it, I'd say I wound up recommending 15. So that's kind of the concept. So 15 out of 22, I would give the super edition of it like a 7.5 out of 10. It's kind of within the pitch. Just takes a little bit of a toll. 15 out of 22 is still pretty damn excellent, but it's just within the tone that it just takes a little bit more slight, not enjoying 7 songs out of 22 on here. So that's this kind of thing, but it is more, it's a good chunk. It's over 2/3 of the project that are recommendable, so kind of happens to be a thing. But yeah, there's not really any singles that I can think of just within the pitch. I think this is kind of a teaser of a project just within the concept. I don't know if like there were songs that were used off this product for the Skull Gang album in 2009, what particularly happened with like the promotion, but I would have to say, like I was saying, it did have a 2008 primary Lil Wayne verse on here, which is pretty excellent type fare. Juelz Santana and Lil Wayne are tight, so it's a good pitch for that. And then Jim Jones on his off year in 2008 is on here as well. He should have been on here more, but Juelz Santana was on Jim Jones's Bird Gang project, so it's pretty dope that happened. So, but yeah, so to basically say I'll go ahead and recommend like the 10 songs out of 18 that I recommend on here, plus, well, actually the 11 songs out of 22 out of the 22 songs on here, I wound up recommending 11 that are songs that are not mixtape songs. There's at least 4 songs out of these 22 that are like mixtape freestyles to like songs like Rick Ross's Here I Am and Lil Wayne's Got Money and like some of those types of ones, and like T-Pain's Can't Believe It, some of these types of pitches, some of those type fares I'd have to say, and Nelly's Body on Me, some of those type pitches. But basically out of the remaining 18 songs, to the 4 songs that are mixtape songs I'll recommend, which are Don't Want You Back, Here We Are, What You Reppin', Skull Gang, and You Gotta Give Me Some. And then the 10 songs, or the 11 songs that I recommend that are actual songs are Aggie, Peepin' My Swag, Body Like a Maserati, Problems, Drama Fold, Dropping Some Shit, Birds Flying In, Relax, Secret, Touch Me, Tease Me, and Before. So it's kind of within the pitch behind it, but it's basically one of these songs I was familiar with, and if you can't hear me directly, it's just because there's a rainstorm going on as far as those pitches going to happen, so I'm going to try to do this quick to get this done so the storm doesn't have problems. But Aggie is basically like a woozy and hazy kind of in-between kind of smoke session. I'd have to say here, just a typical kind of city drew and like hangout fun to kind of have TVs on, pitches like that, some of that standard fare disc, standard noise just to kind of get within that pitch. Just kind of look within that particular type tone. This great kind of smoke loud, kind of loud pack to kind of get here, just hella. This chicks just mingle, standard kind of vanilla hangout type fare as far as those pitches will kind of happen, just real nice and kind of have like some of that relative just mingle as far as those pitches will kind of go. Drama Fold is a nice one. This reminds me of Lil Wayne. I would definitely have to say it's like a radio ready kind of rock rap gem. I'd have to say this reminds me definitely of Rebirth by Lil Wayne from 2010, so it's a good type pitch. I think Juelz Santana probably realized that Lil Wayne was going to drop that album back in 2008, which is a good type fare. It's like a punkish kind of evening makeshift slag to kind of get here. So it's just some standard fare, it's some commerce, just in more punk and emo, hot topic type mode, just within the pitch of something more 4:30, 5:15 type PM pitches like that. I had to say, just basically like a Juelz Santana version of like a Rebirth type cut, just to be able to get. This really feels like Lil Wayne should be on this particular song, some of that type fare. This really works pretty well for like an alternative type sense. It's a good type fare. Problems with Lil Wayne is a nice one. It's like a sparkly kind of nightclub energy about this particular one. Just a feel good kind of mid 2000s mixtape bop to kind of get. I feel like this production just feels very familiar. I don't know where I've heard this particular beat before, but I just can't recall as to where it went. I don't know if this was actually just a mixtape freestyle to another song, but it feels original, but I just can't remember where I've heard this particular one, so I'm just gonna say it was an original one. But this has a nice Lil Wayne cameo. He shreds on here. Juelz Santana keeps up with them, and a Skull Gang member does pretty good on here as well. I'd say it's like a vanilla kind of stunt type song to kind of get just some good nightclub mixtape type fare to kind of get for like some good, just virtual kind of kickback. Dropping some shit's a quality bop on here. There's like a cavernous kind of sleepy night commute of a song I'd have to say here. Just to smoke a nice one, have the munchies type tune to kind of get, it's like a smoke a nice one, kind of munchies type tune to kind of get in like some late hangout type fare to kind of say. So it's just the product of just something 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning, just after hours drifting as far as that would particularly kind of happen. Just the good fare like a Taco Bell run, just after products to get in like a frozen burrito, something that typeness, hot pizza, something like that, just be able to get within that tone of just eyes red pitches like that, just appreciating like the standard kind of sleepy commute of just the AM hours. That's like a good tone for that. Body Like a Maserati is a quality one. It's like a sparky kind of jolt of nightclub jury to kind of get here, just some in between kind of just some in between kind of mingle. I'd have to say just a strip club kind of jangle to kind of get within that tone. It's like some step out snaps kind of has. It's just a good product to some of this. Goes pretty well with like Aggie and some of those types of ones. I'd have to say maybe dropping some shit just not quite as Traverse in mind, I'd have to say, but at least a good 1-2 punch would definitely be Body Like a Maserati, and Aggie would definitely feel like with probably like a touch of Secret in there and Touch Me Tease Me, I'd have to say. Birds Flying In is a nice one. This has Jim Jones on there, which is a pretty good pitch. It's like a murky kind of slummish Traverse everyday type feel about this one. Just like a murky kind of slummish Traverse to kind of get here. Just an everyday kind of low key type feel about this one. Just a city hop and residential outs. I would definitely feel like another good one for some snacks. It's a good concept, just like dropping some shit, some of those type ones. It's a little bit more earlier in the evening, I had to say, just within the concept behind it. So overall, I like the traffic type feel, Birds Flying In. It's a good concept, kind of has some in-between type moments for just that standard fare, just goodies and pitches like that. Just a good snackish type fare. It's just good pitch, kind of get some of these. It's a good kind of after effect of some Traverse and simple kind of homies type music. If you're just kind of like Beavis and Butthead or just multiple homies just within the pitch and just kind of having some fare, just picking up some goodies at like a gas station or Walmart, some of those type fares just to be able to get, I'd have to say, a good type fare. Peepin' My Swag is a pretty quality one. It's like a jivey kind of city hot breeze kind of get here, just some decent kind of car traffic with like a slag kind of makeshift, I'd have to feel like. It's a good concept to grab some Burger King, some pitches like that. This one's a little bit more bustle about it, but it's just a good concept kind of have for some. It's kind of a little bit more uppity in a sense of just the concept of just having like some residential type fare where just it's a little bit more gusty and in the wind as far as that would particularly kind of happen. I just look after the tone behind it. Good, nice fare for that. Secret is an extra song on here, but this is a quality one. It's like this, I want to say this only has Juelz Santana on here and like a Chica singer. I don't know who particularly it is. Maybe it's Star. I want to say she was on. Like Jim Jones is Pray for Rain. I'm not really sure if that's full blown her, but this is like a bonus song with like a great revamp of Nothing But a G Thing by Dr. Dre and Snoop Dogg. Like I was saying, the singer does great on this particular song. Juelz Santana shreds this song apart just within the pitch of getting like a standard radio type grab in like a mixtape type format when he was kind of on some of his off years, whether or not he was going to drop music. There's like an affable kind of nightclub sparkle about this one. The song jumps pretty well, I'd have to say. Good, nice tone for some of these. B4 is a nice one. It's like a night commerce kind of sleepy after hours trekking to kind of get here. This one goes pretty well with dropping some shit, some of those type of ones, I'd have to say. Probably another one like a little bit also kind of goes with Birds Flying In just a little bit later in the night, I'd have to say. It's like a smoke some nice ones, definitely. I feel like in just some late in between type moments kind of get here. So it's just, I like some of these goodies type songs to kind of get just Taco Bell runs, KFC runs, some of that type fare. I mean, trust me when I say it's probably going to feel pretty great just listening to some of these songs like the Trek Home. If you just had like some crispy kind of fried chicken, something like that, good orange soda, just some stuff like that, some buttery biscuits, some of that type fare. Some of those type pitches, just being able to say like picking up some grape swishers, some strawberry swishers, some of that type fare, just be able to get some of that, just the crisp type tone to just having that appeal. Good stuff for that. Touch Me, Tease Me is an excellent one as well as like a glazed kind of summer gazing. I would feel like about this particular song, some Thug Life kind of Tupac like frolic to kind of get here. Just reminds me of something Tupac would have done were he to have been around in 2008, 2007, some of those type pitches that I'd say. Just a stellar kind of Bella's Unwind, I would definitely feel like in Gap type song kind of get here. So Touch Me, Tease Me is just a quality type one to kind of get for like some just glazeness to kind of have just golden type days, I'd have to say. Relax is a nice one as well. It's like a familiar and kind of sleepy and drowsy type beat to kind of have here. I don't remember where I've heard this particular type of song, but it is a nice one. This reminds me kind of like Tupac from like his Strictly For My Niggas days from '93. Just kind of, I don't want to say it's boom bap, but it feels like something that like one of those type folks. This feels like the Roots or like Digital Underground, and one of their more. This feels like a very drowsy type song by like the Roots or one of those type folks. I'd have to say it's a great woozy day after hours traverse to kind of get here, hotbox the whip, some of that type fare to kind of have, and just a ruminate type song kind of get. So it just takes it back to like the Wu-Tang kind of 93, the Roots, some of those type folks. There's other type folks like, don't remember them as full blown, but just folks similar to the Roots and some of those type fares, I'd have to say. Very woozy and drowsy type feel about this particular one. Just a real affable type one. Really like the appeal behind this. Just a lot of good niceness about it. I think that basically takes care of it in the songs I recommend here. So yeah, once again this mixtape gets a 9.25 out of 10. The deluxe edition, or the one with the extra songs where there's 4 extra songs in here, gets a 7.5. So in terms of the social score, that's kind of tricky. I want to say I'll give the social score, I'm going to give the social score like a 9.25 also, just because the pitch behind it is excellent on here. Juelz Santana is actually a pretty good ringleader of like a lyricist. So he leads the Skull Gang and he does it well just in the pitch. He keeps up with folks like Lil Wayne. Yeah, he is probably a top tier lyricist, just to be able to say he's very underappreciated within that tone. So it's just within the pitch behind it. He's not on every single song, and I did not catch too much distinction behind some of these type folks. They're also elsewise on this particular project. But I would have to say I'm not sure if these folks ever really dropped like any individual mixtapes or something like that. I looked on Rate Your Music to see if they did, but it just didn't see as full blown as to really listing some of these folks as if they really did anything. So they're just kind of not necessarily full blown small time, but just within the affability, just questioning that they probably just dissipated after 2009 with the Skull Gang album. But Juelz Santana was kind of in an awkward territory around that time. But 9.25 social, it does have some bops on here. There's plenty of snacks and goodies type music, which is pretty excellent just to have red eyes in like the night, midnight, after hours, 1 a.m., 2 a.m. Just once again getting some crispy chicken, some Taco Bell, some of that type fare just to be able to have for some of that. Orange sodas, just really feeling like the good concept, but just some after hours type fare, some good summery ladies type songs kind of get. Songs like Touch Me, Tease Me, and Body Like a Maserati, some of those type of ones. Hangout type songs like Aggie, some of those type ones in particular. It has some good typeness, kind of gets. It's actually a pretty social type project. I do like the Lil Wayne and Jim Jones type features, just good affable type of PL. Some Traverse type songs kind of get. Some nightclub type songs, just a good social spark about it just in the pitch. But the only reason why I wouldn't get a 10 is just because the concept of whether or not that there's like a single off this project, and just how much full-blown folks are going to even recognize or be able to find this project just within the fair. It's definitely dope once you do find it, but it's just kind of more off the side than probably most folks would even realize. I think maybe some folks might know about Juelz Santana in certain senses, but this is even further off the wayside than that, so it's just within the tone. But yeah, in terms of the future, like Juelz Santana, he at least dropped a mixtape in 2020. Don't know what's happened with Skull Gang. He's been kind of working on stuff here and there. He kind of just drops periodically as far as those pitches going to happen, kind of similar, definitely within the appeal. But like I was saying, Juelz Santana has a lot of projects. There's definitely some ones I'm very excited to get to as far as those pitches going to happen. There's some ones that I just am going to have the aspect behind really having to get towards and to see the quality and this overall bliss of some of these type ones. So it's good tone, but yeah, this mixtape is highly excellent. Even though the bonus track version is kind of slagged a little bit more, I'd have to say, but still a good tone to fuck with this and just get all these dope songs, especially for free. Also, to talk about some of these songs I didn't recommend on here on the Skull Gang project, just to have some of that in particular, I just would have to say songs like Fire and Hollow were just kind of more turn-up type songs and like a more traditional kind of New York City bustle that just didn't nail it that well. I kind of feel like the intro and outro, both like Takeover the intro and Make It Rain the outro, just were not that quality in terms of like the pitch of really delivering a spark to kind of get towards some of these just with a little bit more bite towards them, I'd have to say. Plus, I want to say the Make It Rain outro didn't really have Juelz Santana on there. And then like 100 Bars I like the fact that it was 100 bars on a Lil Wayne song as far as those pitches going to happen. An excellent type pitch to kind of get this as like a Lil Wayne freestyle as far as those pitches going to happen, but I just think it probably should have had more folks on there. It was not quite as compelling from some of these folks that just don't have much distinction as far as I would particularly kind of go, I'd have to say. And like, yeah, they're just taking over your radio. It's just kind of a dull type one that just probably should have been more decent, but just didn't nail the appeal of what it was going for. So there's just some ones like that that are just kind of more in-between type moments that just didn't have the appeal. Just mainly between, like, there's just some ones on here like Just Don't Give a Fuck, talk about that one, that just probably should have had Juelz Santana on there. It just kind of felt like a clumsy type club bop to kind of get. I just feel like it is just kind of more cookie cutter and static to kind of get some of these Skull Gang members, because they just feel, I don't want to say lost without Juelz Santana, but they just don't have the distinction to really have much edginess to be able to say whether or not that they would have had. It just didn't have as much spark towards it as full blown, I'd have to say. But it's not, I mean, I realized I've reviewed plenty of other wingmen out there with other mixtape folks as far as that particular one goes, but some of these just felt kind of just not as cohesive. I'd have to say that's just kind of the tone behind it.